All right, welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Excited to be here.
Today, we're going through the Crypto Deep Dive report.
Oh, yeah, from December 18th, 2024.
It's a really fascinating look at what's been happening in the crypto world this week.
Absolutely.
So buckle up, because things are really moving.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And speaking of moving, we're actually going to be talking about a coin literally called Movement later on.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But first, let's set the stage with a market overview. What do you say?
Sounds good.
So the overall crypto market took a bit of a dip, down 8.43%,
Okay.
which brings it to a total of $3.35 trillion.
Still a lot of money sloshing around in there.
Yeah, but here's the thing that I found really interesting. Trading activity actually surged by over 50%.
53.45% to be exact.
Wow, you have all the numbers memorized?
Well, got to stay on top of things.
That's impressive, but what do you think that means when you see that much movement, so to speak, despite a market dip?
Well, I think it just goes to show that volatility breeds opportunity.
How so?
Well, think about it. Some investors see a dip and think, oh no, time to get out.
Right.
While others see it as, a chance to buy low?
Yeah, that classic buy the dip mentality.
Exactly. So this increased activity could mean that people are either scared or they're sensing some bargains.
It's a fascinating dynamic. And you know what else is fascinating? Bitcoin.
What about it?
Its dominance rose to 57.66%.
Which is, let me just check my notes, a jump of almost 1% in just a day.
Yeah, that's pretty significant, right?
Definitely something to watch.
And, it kind of makes you wonder if there's a connection to, well, a couple of things that we saw.
Like what?
Well, MRI Holdings just poured $1.5 billion into Bitcoin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Coinbase has seen a huge surge in advanced trading.
Institutional investors, maybe.
That's what I was thinking. Are we seeing signs that, the big players are starting to feel really bullish on Bitcoin?
I mean, it's certainly possible, right? These moves could suggest that larger investors are becoming more comfortable with Bitcoin. Maybe even seeing it as, I don't know, like a safe haven asset in times of uncertainty.
Yeah, or maybe they're just thinking, hey, this is the OG crypto. It's the one that's most likely to stand the test of time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I guess it's too early to say for sure. But it's exciting to think about the potential implications.
Yeah, and we have to remember that short-term trends don't always tell the whole story.
That's true.
But even so, the psychological impact of Bitcoin's dominance can't be ignored, It affects the entire market.
Right. If Bitcoin sneezes, the rest of the crypto world catches a cold, so to speak.
Exactly. So keep an eye on Bitcoin. That's what I always say.
Wise words. Wise words. Now let's move on to some of the individual coins that are, well, moving the needle.
That sounds good.
So at the top of our list, we have Movement, which, as I mentioned earlier, is quite literally the name of the coin.
Talk about truth in advertising.
Yeah. And it's up a very respectable 11.5% this week.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
And the interesting thing about Movement, it's linked to decentralized social media platforms. Have you been following this trend at all?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's huge. Right now, people are really starting to value their data privacy.
Yeah, and they're tired of being controlled by these big tech companies.
Exactly. They want more control over their online experience.
So Movement is basically tapping into this growing demand for platforms that prioritize user control and data security.
Precisely. And this price surge could be a sign that more and more people are buying into that vision.
Yeah, it's definitely a space to watch, especially if you're interested in the intersection of social media and blockchain technology.
Absolutely. There's a lot of innovation happening there.
But not every coin is having such a good week.
No. What happened?
Well, let's just say our friend the pudgy penguin took a bit of a tumble.
Oh, the PNGU coin.
The one and only. And it's down a rather painful 24%.
Ouch. That's gotta hurt.
Yeah, especially for those who bought in at the peak of the hype.
Right. Remember when it launched? It was crazy.
Oh, yes. So much volatility.
And then there were those regulatory concerns, right?
Yeah, I think that spooked some investors.
Understandably so. Meme coins, they can be so unpredictable.
They really are. It's like riding a roller coaster with no safety harness.
Yeah, but it's funny.
What's that?
Even after this drop, PNU still has a market cap of $1.83 billion.
Wow, you're right. That's wild.
It just goes to show you how much risk appetite there is in the crypto market.
Yeah, people are still willing to bet big on these meme coins.
Yeah.
Even knowing that they could lose it all.
It's the thrill of the unknown, I guess.
The allure of the potential 100x return.
Exactly. But for every big winner, there are countless others that fade into obscurity.
That's the nature of the game, I suppose. High risk, high reward.
For sure. And speaking of risks, let's not forget about Lido DA and Thorchain.
Oh yeah, LDO and Roan both took some hits this week.
LDO down 22.8% and Runo almost 20%.
Yeah, those are some pretty significant drops. What do you think is driving those declines?
Well, I think it's a combination of factors.
Like what?
Well, with LDO, there's been some uncertainty around liquid staking, which is a relatively new concept in decentralized finance.
And Thorchain, well, they've been dealing with some concerns about the complexities and security challenges of cross-chain transactions.
Yeah, those are definitely valid concerns, especially as the DeFi space continues to evolve.
Absolutely. And I think it just underscores the importance of doing your research before investing in any crypto asset.
Couldn't agree more. All right, well, things are about to get a bit more serious as we shift our focus to the regulatory front.
Oh, the regulatory landscape.
Yeah.
Always a fun topic.
Yeah. Well, fun might not be the right word, but it's definitely important.
That's for sure. It can make or break a project.
So let's start with the big news. The German watchdog just ordered Worldcoin to delete all that biometric data they'd collected.
Wow, that's a big deal.
It is, and it really raises questions about the future of biometric crypto projects.
Yeah, I mean, regulators are clearly taking data privacy very seriously. And rightfully so, I think. But it does create challenges for projects that rely on this type of data.
It's a delicate balancing act, for sure, fostering innovation while protecting people's rights.
Exactly. And speaking of regulations, Nigeria is also tightening its grip on crypto marketing.
Oh, really? What are they doing?
Well, they're cracking down on those social media influencers who are promoting crypto without proper disclosures.
Makes sense. There's been a lot of hype and misinformation out there.
Yeah, and I think regulators are starting to realize that they need to step in and protect consumers.
It's a global trend, actually. Stricter regulations are popping up all over the place.
Yeah, which brings us to, I guess you could call it the debate of the year.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What is it?
BlackRock versus the Bitcoin developers.
Whoa, that's a heavyweight matchup.
It is, and it all centers around that magic number, 21 million.
Bitcoin's supply cap.
The one and only in BlackRock. Well, they've been hinting at the possibility of changing it.
Really? And what do the Bitcoin developers have to say about that?
Well, let's just say they're not exactly thrilled.
I can imagine.
They see it as an attack on the very core principles of Bitcoin.
Decentralization, immutability, all that good stuff.
Exactly. They argue that messing with the supply cap would undermine Bitcoin's value proposition.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like changing the rules of the game after it's already started.
Right. But BlackRock, on the other hand, they argue that adapting Bitcoin to existing financial frameworks could make it more palatable for mainstream adoption.
So they're looking at it from a more practical perspective.
I think so. They see the potential for Bitcoin to become a major player in the global financial system, but they also see the need for some adjustments.
It's a fascinating debate, really. It gets to the heart of what Bitcoin is all about and what its future might hold.
And it's playing out in real time right before our eyes, so stay tuned, folks. It's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out.
No doubt, no doubt.
All right, well, let's end this part of our deep dive on a more positive note, shall we?
Sure, I'm all for some good news.
Well, how about this? Grayscale's Bitcoin Mini Trust ETF is doing incredibly well.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Over $1 billion in inflows.
That's right. And it really speaks to the growing acceptance of regulated crypto products.
For sure, investors are looking for ways to get exposure to crypto without having to deal with all the technical complexities.
Exactly. And ETFs provide that familiar regulated pathway.
They're like a bridge between the traditional financial world and the crypto space.
A bridge that seems to be getting a lot of traffic these days.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that crypto ETFs are here to stay.
Which is good news for the industry, I think. It brings legitimacy and attracts more mainstream investors.
Absolutely. But, we have to remember that even with ETFs, there are still risks.
That's true, like we saw with the Coinbase WBTC delisting situation.
Yeah, regulatory hurdles and platform-specific decisions can still impact investor holdings.
So the lesson here is, as always, do your research, understand the terms and conditions, and be aware of the potential risks.
Solid advice, no matter what you're investing in.
We were talking about that, that whole clash between the old guard and the new.
Yeah, traditional finance giants like BlackRock dipping their toes into the crypto pool.
It's making a lot of people nervous.
Definitely a lot of skepticism out there. People are worried about, what it means for the future of crypto.
Right. Like, is this the beginning of the end of decentralization?
Some people think so. They worry that these institutions will try to control everything.
Mold crypto into something that fits their existing systems.
Exactly, like trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
But then there's the other side of the argument.
The folks who think this convergence could actually be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, these institutions bring a lot of experience to the table, right?
Yeah, in areas like risk management, regulatory compliance.
Stuff that the crypto world could definitely benefit from.
It's like a bridge between the old and the new.
Connecting the established financial world with the wild west of crypto.
Maybe they can help stabilize the market a bit, make it more attractive to mainstream investors.
It's still early days, though, so who knows what'll happen.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out.
But speaking of things that are playing out, let's get back to those regulatory rumblings.
Ah, yes. Governments around the world are trying to figure out what to do with this whole crypto thing.
It's like they're walking a tightrope.
Too much regulation could stifle innovation, but too little could lead to chaos.
It's a tough balancing act, for sure.
We saw Germany take a pretty firm stance with that Worldcoin case.
Yeah, data privacy is clearly a top priority for them.
And then you have Nigeria cracking down on those crypto influencers.
Trying to rein in all the hype and misinformation.
It's a global trend, though, this move towards stricter regulation.
Which brings us to Binance, US.
Oh, yeah, they're still struggling to get those USD services back online.
Their latest announcement says they're aiming for early 2025.
It's a long road to regulatory approval in the U.S.
No kidding. But, if they can navigate that maze successfully...
It could really boost their legitimacy.
Speaking of legitimacy, let's talk about those crypto ETFs.
Grayscale's Bitcoin Mini Trust ETF is doing incredibly well.
Over $1 billion in inflows. That's huge.
It shows that investors are really interested in these regulated products.
They're a way to get exposure to crypto without having to dive into the deep end.
Exactly. You don't have to worry about wallets or exchanges or any of that stuff.
But like we talked about earlier, ETFs aren't without risk.
Yeah, remember that Coinbase WBTC delisting situation?
Regulatory hurdles and platform decisions can still affect your holdings.
So as always, do your research before you invest.
Couldn't agree more, all right? Ready to move beyond the world of buying and selling.
Yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the technology itself.
Because underneath all the market hype and regulatory drama, there's some really cool stuff happening.
The real engine of the crypto revolution.
We're talking about blockchain technology, folks.
The foundation of it all.
Exactly. We've talked about the market, the regulations, but now it's time to explore the real game-changer blockchain technology.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the hype, the price swings, the meme coins, but we can't lose sight of the fact that the true power of crypto lies in its potential to revolutionize industries.
And we're already seeing glimpses of that.
Oh, absolutely. We talked about the Ethereum gas limit increase, right?
Yeah, potentially lower fees for everyone. That's a big deal.
Definitely. And it shows that developers are constantly working to improve the user experience.
Make blockchain more accessible to the everyday person.
Exactly, because it's not just about speed and cost.
Yeah.
It's about making these complex systems more user-friendly.
So that anyone can benefit.
Precisely. And you know what else is exciting?
What's that?
Solana's decentralized app revenue hit $365 million.
That's a pretty clear sign that developers are building real-world applications on top of this technology.
Not just speculative stuff, but things that can actually solve problems.
It's like, remember the early days of the internet? People were just starting to understand the potential of the World Wide Web.
It was a whole new world.
And I think we're at a similar point with blockchain. We're witnessing the birth of a new digital landscape.
It's exciting to think about what might emerge.
I know, right? And it's happening all over the world, not just in Silicon Valley.
Developers from everywhere are contributing to this revolution.
Which brings us back to that question we posed earlier. Are we witnessing a paradigm shift in finance?
With traditional players like BlackRock entering the space and decentralized finance gaining traction, it's certainly possible.
Imagine a world where financial services are more accessible, more transparent, and less reliant on those traditional intermediaries.
That's the promise of crypto.
It's a bold vision, and who knows if it'll fully materialize.
We'll have to see how it all unfolds.
But one thing is for sure, the genie is out of the bottle.
Crypto has sparked a wave of innovation that's challenging the status quo and forcing us to rethink the way we interact with money and technology.
And it's been a wild ride full of ups and downs.
That's crypto for you, never a dull moment.
But it's a ride that could ultimately lead to a more equitable and decentralized future.
That's the hope, anyway.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, folks.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of crypto.
We hope you learned something new, and more importantly, that you're inspired to keep exploring this fascinating space.
Remember, the future of finance is being written right now, and you can be a part of it.
Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive.